Vanessa gave me the choice over coffee and burnt sourdough. "You can support me go to Santa Fe alone," she said, smoothing avocado across her toast like she was talking about a grocery list. "Or we can stop pretending and start divorce proceedings." I just sat there with my hand around a mug that had already gone cold. It was 7:14 in the morning. Rain tapped against the kitchen window over the sink. Tyler had already left for school, his cereal bowl still in the dishwasher, because I was always the one who remembered to run it before work. Vanessa was wearing the cream sweater she liked to call her reset sweater, the one she put on when she wanted to look soft while saying something sharp. I blinked at her. Santa Fe. She nodded once. Calm. Prepared. I need freedom, Ethan. I need clarity. I need space to hear myself think without being managed. Managed. That word landed harder than it should have. I've spent 23 years fixing supply chain problems for hospitals, tracking shortages, rerouting shipments, keeping panic from turning into disaster. I saw things. I organized what other people let fall apart. Somewhere along the way, Vanessa had turned that into a flaw. "You booked it already," I said. Not a question. Her eyes flicked to mine for half a second, then back to her plate. It came together quickly. That meant yes. The suitcase by the mudroom suddenly made sense. The new leather weekender I hadn't seen before. The way she'd been on her phone smiling at nothing last night, then locking the screen when I walked in. It had all been arranged before she ever sat down at this table. "So this isn't you asking," I said. "This is you informing me." Her mouth tightened. Like she was disappointed I was making it ugly by saying it plainly. "I'm setting a boundary." I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was obscene. A boundary. That was the language now. Not marriage. Not partnership. Not vows. Just clean therapy words laid over a wreck like a white sheet. I looked at the half-cut grapefruit on her plate, the pink flesh shining under the pendant light. I remembered buying those because she said citrus helped her feel grounded. "When do you leave?" An hour. There it was. The real blow. Not next week. Not tomorrow. An hour. She had waited until the last possible moment because she thought that would keep me quiet. No scene. No argument. No time for me to interfere. She stood, carried her plate to the sink, and ran water over without looking at me. "I really hope you choose grace here." I watched her shoulders, the steady movement of her hands, the absolute confidence in her voice. She already believed she knew what I would do. Stay still, absorb it, keep the house warm until she decided what version of her life she wanted to return to. Then she dried her hands, picked up her car keys, and kissed the air near my cheek. "I'll text when I land," she said, and she walked out like the decision had already been made. After she left, I stood in the kitchen longer than I needed to, staring at the wet marker coffee cup had left on the table. It was strange what the mind reached for first. Not the threat of divorce. Not Santa Fe. Not even the way she had delivered it, like a manager reading policy changes. What stayed with me was how practiced she sounded, like she had said those words before, just not to me. I went to work anyway. By 9:30, I was in a fluorescent conference room, reviewing delayed shipments of cardiac monitors. But all I could see was Vanessa in that cream sweater, talking about freedom with one hand around a mug I bought her on our anniversary trip to Asheville. I kept hearing the same words, and with every hour that passed, something ugly started taking shape underneath them. Freedom, clarity, space, boundaries, reclaiming herself. For years, she had wrapped distance in language that made resistance sound cruel. It hadn't happened all at once. That was the part that bothered me most. If she had turned cold overnight, maybe I would have acted sooner. But she did it slowly, carefully, like someone lowering the lights a little more every night, until one day you realize you've been living in the dark. First it was therapy, then women's circles, then weekend retreats with names like Return to the Sacred Self. I paid for most of them because I thought supporting her meant trusting her. If she came home quiet, I told myself healing was messy. If she was sharp with me for asking simple questions, I told myself growth could look like discomfort. That was how she trained me. Any concern I raised became proof I didn't understand her. Any hurt, I admitted became emotional labor. She was too exhausted to carry. If I asked why she flinched when I touched her shoulder, she said I was making her body about me. If I asked why she kept taking private calls on the back porch, she said not every part of her inner life belonged to this marriage. At the time, I accepted it because acceptance felt kinder than conflict. Now, looking back, I could see the pattern. New passwords, separate notebooks, cash withdrawals too small to trigger a fight. The way she started correcting me in public with that thin smile, as if I were a well-meaning man who had simply failed to keep up with her evolution. I thought she was changing. The truth was harder. She wasn't becoming someone new. She was making herself unreachable, one careful step at a time, while I stood there calling it self-care, because I didn't want to admit my wife had already started building a life that did not include me. Tyler didn't say anything about it that evening. He came home, dropped his backpack by the stairs, and asked what was for dinner like nothing had changed. I told him chicken and rice. He nodded, went upstairs, and shut his door with the same quiet click he'd used since he was 10. Vanessa hadn't called. No text. Nothing. We ate at the kitchen island instead of the table. He scrolled on his phone between bites, not really looking at anything. I noticed he kept glancing toward the empty chair across from him, then back down again. "You heard from your mom?" he asked finally. I shook my head. She said she'd text when she landed. He nodded again. Too calm. Too neutral. I watched him for a second. 16 now. Taller than me by half an inch. Same habit of pushing food around the plate when something was on his mind. I'd taught him how to drive, helped her with algebra, sat through every parent-teacher meeting since he was 8. I realized suddenly that I didn't know what he knew. "Tyler," I said, keeping my voice even, "has she ever done something like this before?" He didn't answer right away. He set his fork down, wiped his hands on a napkin, buying time in a way that felt older than 16. Then he looked at me, really looked. "You mean leave?" he said. "Yes." A pause stretched between us. The hum of the refrigerator filled it. "Yeah," he said quietly. "She used to." The words landed soft, but they didn't feel soft. "How often?" I asked. He shrugged, but it wasn't careless. It was controlled. Every few months. Sometimes longer. When I was little, I felt something tighten in my chest. Where would she go? Didn't say. He picked up his fork again, but didn't use it. She'd just dropped me at Aunt Melissa's or with one of her friends. Tell me she needed a break. Said it was important for her mental health. And then she'd come back like nothing happened. His voice stayed flat. New clothes sometimes. Different mood. Like she reset or something. Reset. The same word she still used. I leaned back slightly, studying him. "Why didn't you tell me?" That got a reaction. Not anger. Not guilt. Just a small, tired exhale. "I thought you knew." I shook my head slowly. He nodded once, like that confirmed something for him. "She stopped doing it when you two got serious," he said. "At least like that." "Like that?" "She still leaves," he said. "Just calls it something else now." The kitchen felt different after that. Smaller, colder. I looked at the empty chair again, then back at Tyler. All those years, I thought I had stepped into his life and given him stability. Thought I had filled a gap she left behind. But sitting there, listening to him talk about it like it was normal, I realized something I hadn't let myself consider before. I hadn't fixed anything. I had just been standing in the place where the damage was easiest to ignore. I didn't confront her. That was the first decision I made. It would have been easy to call, to demand answers, to force some kind of emotional reaction that might make me feel less like I was standing on unstable ground. But Tyler's words stayed with me. She still leaves. Just calls it something else now. If this wasn't new, then neither was the outcome. So I stayed quiet. That night, after Tyler went to bed, I opened my laptop at the kitchen island. Same spot. Same light overhead. The house felt too still without her moving through it. But I used that. Silence makes patterns easier to hear. We use a shared budgeting app. Vanessa insisted on it 2 years ago when she said we needed financial transparency. I logged in, expecting normal noise, groceries, utilities, subscriptions we forgot to cancel. Instead, I found gaps, Small ones at first. Transactions labeled vaguely. Wellness. Consulting. Travel adjustment. Numbers that didn't look alarming on their own, but didn't belong either. $40 here. 80 there. Always rounded just enough to feel intentional. I clicked deeper. Some entries had been edited. Dates shifted. Notes removed. Whoever did it knew how to make changes look like corrections, not deletions. I checked the history logs. Most of the edits came from her device. Of course they did. I leaned back, rubbing my thumb along the edge of the laptop. This wasn't careless spending. It was controlled, repeated, practiced. Then I opened our credit card statements. That's where it started to break open. Ride-share charges. Late at night, not in Raleigh. Durham once. Then Chapel Hill. Then 3 times in the past 2 months, Charlotte. Same pattern every time. Pick up near downtown. Drop off somewhere residential. Then another ride hours later back to a hotel. Hotel charges followed. Not big chains. Boutique places. The kind you book if you don't want to be noticed. I stared at the screen, forcing myself not to jump to conclusions. Affairs were the obvious answer. Too obvious. Vanessa didn't move like someone chasing something impulsive. She moved like someone executing a plan. I took screenshots, saved everything, backed it up to a drive she didn't know existed. Then I did something I hadn't done in years. I called a lawyer. Her name was Laura Vance. I found her through a colleague who'd gone through a brutal divorce and came out intact. When she answered, her voice was sharp, efficient. No softness, no wasted words. I need a consultation, I said. What kind? She asked. I looked at the screen again, at the careful edits, the hidden charges, the pattern that stretched back further than I wanted to admit. My wife just gave me an ultimatum, I said, and I think she's been preparing for it for a long time. There was a brief pause on the line. Good, Laura said. Then you're not behind yet. That was the first time all day something inside me settled. Not relief, just clarity. Laura Vance's office didn't try to be comforting. No soft colors. No inspirational quotes. Just clean lines, glass, and a desk that looked like it had never held anything unnecessary. She didn't offer coffee. Didn't ask how I was holding up. She just opened a folder, clicked her pen, and said, "Start from the beginning." So I did. I told her about the breakfast, the ultimatum, Santa Fe, the way Vanessa said freedom, like it was something I had taken from her. I kept my voice steady, the same tone I use in meetings when something's gone wrong, but panic won't fix it. Then I laid out the rest, the budgeting app, the edited entries, the ride-share charges in cities she had no reason to be in, the boutique hotels, Tyler's quiet explanation of how this wasn't new, just renamed. Laura didn't interrupt. She wrote things down in short, precise strokes, occasionally circling something like it mattered more than the rest. When I finished, the room went quiet. She leaned back slightly, studying me the way I imagine I study a disrupted supply chain, looking for where it actually broke, not where it first showed symptoms. Your wife didn't just decide to leave this morning, she said. I know. She's been preparing an exit, Laura continued, financially and emotionally, probably for years. The word years didn't hit like I expected. It settled instead, like a piece finally fitting where it should have been all along. She gave you an ultimatum, Laura said, because she believes you're unprepared, that you'll either accept her terms or react emotionally and put yourself at a disadvantage. I thought about the timing. 1 hour before her flight. No space to respond. No time to think. She expected me to stay quiet, I said. Laura gave a small nod. And have you? Yes. Good. She closed the folder halfway. Not fully, like the conversation wasn't done, but the direction was clear. Here's what I think, she said. This retreat isn't about clarity. It's about transition. She's already built whatever comes next. The question is how much of your life she plans to take with her when she goes. I didn't answer, because I already knew the answer to that too. As of right now, Laura continued, you assume everything is exposed. Accounts, assets, credit, insurance, anything tied to your name. You don't confront her. You don't warn her. You let her believe the plan is working. And in the meantime, I asked. Her pen tapped once against the folder. We take control of the parts she thinks she's already secured. For the first time since that morning, I felt something close to balance return. Not because things were getting better, but because they were finally making sense. The forensic accountant Laura brought and didn't waste time on small talk. His name was Daniel Cho. Late 40s, quiet, the kind of man who looked like he trusted numbers more than people. He set his laptop down, connected to the copies I'd made, and said, "If something's wrong, it's already in here. You just haven't seen it yet." We sat in a conference room that smelled faintly like printer toner and stale air. Outside, traffic moved like nothing in my life had shifted. Inside, everything started to. He worked methodically, cross-referencing transactions, pulling records tied to my name, following patterns I hadn't even known to look for. At first, it was just confirmation. "Yes," he said, scrolling. "These edits are intentional. They're spaced out to avoid attention. Whoever did this understands how to stay under reporting thresholds." I nodded. That part one already believed. Then he paused. "That's interesting." I felt my shoulders tighten. "What?" He turned the screen slightly toward me. "There are accounts here you didn't disclose." "I told you everything." I said, "I believe you," he replied calmly. "These aren't visible from your primary banking interface. They're linked through secondary authentication. Older credentials, possibly reused." My mouth went dry. "And my name?" "Yes." The word landed heavier than anything before it. He clicked again, pulling up statements. Savings accounts. Small balances at first, then growing. Transfers that mirrored the amounts missing from our joint budget, but rerouted, layered, hidden. "How long?" I asked. He didn't answer immediately. He checked dates. Verified entries. Earliest activity just over 4 years ago. For years. I thought about where we were 4 years ago. Renovating the kitchen. Talking about college funds. Planning a trip we never took because she said she needed to focus inward instead. All that time, she wasn't pulling away. She was moving assets. Daniel kept going. "Additionally," he said, "there are 2 personal loans open under your identity." I looked at him. I didn't take out any loans. "I know," he said, "but they exist. Payments have been made regularly, which is why they haven't triggered alerts. Whoever set this up didn't want default. They wanted invisibility." I felt something cold settle in my chest. Not anger. Not yet. Precision. She used my name. I said, "Yes." The room felt smaller. Daniel hesitated for the first time. Just a fraction. "There's one more thing," he said. I didn't speak. I just watched him. He opened another file. Insurance documents. My investment-backed life policy. The one I'd set up years ago. The one meant to secure Vanessa and Tyler if something happened to me. "There was a beneficiary change," he said. "When?" 8 months ago. I leaned forward slightly. "To who?" I expected a name I didn't know. A man, maybe. Someone tied to those trips. Something that would make this cleaner, simpler. Daniel turned the screen fully toward me. It wasn't a stranger. It was her sister. Melissa. For a second, nothing made sense. Then everything did. "She's been helping her," I said quietly. Daniel didn't respond. He didn't need to. For years of hidden accounts. Loans in my name. Money siphoned in controlled amounts. And the one person who would never question Vanessa's version of events positioned to receive everything if I was gone. This wasn't just an exit. It was a system. And I had been living inside it the entire time, without ever seeing the structure. Vanessa came back on a Sunday afternoon. I heard her before I saw her. The front door opening, the soft roll of her suitcase across the hardwood, the faint chime of something metallic hanging from her bag. The house had been quiet for days, and her presence moved through it like she had never left. "Ethan," she called, light, almost musical. I was in the kitchen. Same place she left me. Same island. Same overhead light. But everything else was different now. I didn't answer right away. I watched her reflection first. In the dark glass of the microwave, she looked brighter. Sun-touched skin, loose linen dress, layered necklaces with small stones that caught the light when she moved. Her hair was pulled back in a way that made her look softer, younger, rebuilt. "I'm home," she said, stepping in fully now. I turned. She smiled when she saw me. Not relief, not uncertainty. Something closer to quiet victory, like she had gone somewhere, decided something, and returned expecting the world to adjust accordingly. "I brought you something," she said, setting a small bundle of wrap paper on the counter. "It's from a local artist." It felt grounding. Next to it, she placed a few crystals, arranging them with care like they mattered. Her eyes flicked across the kitchen, taking inventory. Subtle, quick, checking for change. She didn't see it yet. How was Santa Fe? I asked. She exhaled slowly, placing a hand over her chest. "Transformational," she said. "I did a lot of deep work. I feel clear." "Clear." I nodded once. "That's good." There was a pause, just long enough for her to expect the next part. The questions, the apology, the negotiation. It didn't come. Her smile shifted slightly. "So, where are you at with everything?" she asked. "I know this wasn't easy for you." I reached the side of the island and picked up a folder. Plain, gray, no markings. I slid it across the surface toward her. "This is where I'm at." She looked at it, then at me, a small crease forming between her eyebrows. For the first time since she walked in, something in her posture lost its balance. "What is this?" she asked. "Open it." She hesitated. Then she did. The first page was on top. Clean. Formal. Divorce petition. I watched her eyes move, left to right. Slow at first, then faster as recognition set in. Her fingers tightened slightly on the edge of the paper. "What is this?" she repeated, but the calm was gone now. "Keep going," I said. She flipped the page. Bank statements. Highlighted transfers. Account numbers she never expected me to see. Another page. Ride-share logs. Dates. Times. Locations. Another. Loan documents. My name printed clearly where it shouldn't have been. Her breathing changed. Shallow. Faster. Then the last one. The insurance policy. The beneficiary line. Melissa's name. Vanessa went completely still. For a moment, the room felt suspended, like even the air had stopped moving. Then she looked up at me, and the calm, the careful, spiritual calm she walked in wearing, shattered. "What is this?" she demanded. But now there was something underneath it, not confusion. Fear. I didn't raise my voice. "You tell me," I said. For a second, I thought she might try to deny it. She didn't. Vanessa's eyes moved back down to the papers, scanning faster now, like she was searching for something she could still control. A mistake. A gap. Anything. "This is out of context," she said finally, her voice tightening. "You don't understand what you're looking at." "I understand enough," I replied. Her head snapped up. "No, you don't. These are financial decisions, strategic ones. I had to protect myself because you—" She stopped, recalibrating mid-sentence. "Because you don't listen. You don't see me." There was again the script. Even now, I didn't react. Behind her, I heard the front door open. Tyler. His footsteps slowed when he walked into the kitchen. He looked from me, to the papers, to his mother. He didn't say anything. Vanessa turned to him instantly, like she needed a new audience. "Tyler," she said, her voice breaking just enough to sound real, "your stepdad is trying to destroy me." I watched him carefully. She stepped closer to him. He went through my things, twisted everything, froze accounts. He's being vindictive because I needed space. That's all this is. Tyler didn't move. "Say something," she pressed, softer now. "You know how he gets. You've seen it." That was new. I felt it, sharp and immediate, but I kept still. Tyler looked at her for a long moment. Then he glanced at me, not asking, not confused, measuring. "You open loans in his name?" he asked. Vanessa blinked. "That's not." "And you change his insurance?" he continued, his voice steady. She stepped back slightly. "You don't understand the full picture." "I think I do," he said. The room shifted. Not loud, not dramatic, just final. Vanessa's expression cracked. Just for a second, not the controlled emotion she'd been using. Something raw. Unplanned. "You're really going to take his side?" she asked. Tyler shook his head once. "I'm not taking sides," he said. "I'm just not pretending." Silence settled hard after that. Vanessa turned away from him, pressing her fingers to her temples like she needed to physically hold herself together. Then she looked back at me, and whatever softness she had left was gone. "This isn't over," she said. "I know," I replied, and then my phone buzzed. The sound cut through the room like something deliberate. I glanced down. Unknown number. I answered anyway. "Ethan Mercer?" a woman's voice asked. Smooth. Professional. "Yes." "Hi," she said. "This is Claire, Vanessa's coach. I think we need to talk." I didn't speak. Vanessa's head turned sharply toward me. Claire continued, calm and certain. "I've been guiding Vanessa through this transition. There are details you're clearly not aware of, and it would be in everyone's best interest if we align before this escalates further." Aligned? I looked at Vanessa. For the first time since she walked in, she didn't look in control of the situation. She looked exposed. "How do you have my number?" I asked. A small pause. Then, "Vanessa shared it," Claire said, "along with quite a lot of context about your finances and your marriage." Of course she did. I ended the call without another word. The kitchen felt different now. Not just divided. Split clean in two. Vanessa on one side, me and Tyler on the other. And whatever version of control she thought she had brought back from Santa Fe, it wasn't hers anymore. Mediation was scheduled 2 weeks later. Vanessa arrived early. I saw her through glass before I walked in. Perfect posture, tailored blazer, hair pulled back tight. No crystals, no softness. She looked like someone who had already rewritten the story and was ready to present it. When I entered, she didn't look at me. Her attorney did. Laura sat beside me, calm as ever, a thin folder in front of her, thinner than the one I had given Vanessa in the kitchen. That didn't mean anything. If anything, it meant the opposite. The mediator began with the usual tone, measured, neutral, pretending this was just another negotiation between two reasonable people. Vanessa spoke first. "I'm willing to be fair," she said. "I don't want this to become hostile. I just want a clean separation, so we can both move forward." Her voice was steady, controlled, practiced. If I hadn't seen everything, I might have believed her. Laura didn't respond immediately. She let the silence stretch just enough to shift the weight of the room. Then she opened the folder. "Before we discuss terms," she said, "there's something that needs to be addressed." Vanessa's attorney frowned slightly. "If this is about the alleged financial misconduct." "It's not alleged," Laura said, without raising her voice. "But no, that's not the priority right now." That got Vanessa's attention. Laura slid a document across the table. Then another, and another. Vanessa's attorney reached for them first. His expression changed as he read. Not dramatically. Just enough. "What is this?" he asked. Laura folded her hands. "Public records. Archive content. Payment processing logs." Vanessa didn't touch the papers. "Not yet. Your client," Laura continued, "has been operating an online brand for the past 3 years. Subscription-based. Paid content. Coaching packages." Vanessa's head turned slowly. "No," she said too quickly. "That's not." Laura didn't stop. "The brand markets itself as relationship empowerment," she said. "Specifically, guidance for women navigating emotionally neglectful marriages." The words hung in the air. I didn't look at Vanessa. I already knew. Content includes written posts, recorded sessions, and visual material. Laura continued, many of which were created inside the marital home, featuring identifiable assets, routines, and private details. Vanessa's hand moved, finally grabbing the top page. I watched her eyes scan, then stop. Her breathing changed again, same as in the kitchen. "Shallow, tight. These are anonymized," she said, but there was no conviction behind it now. "There's no proof." "There is," Laura said. She turned one more page and slid it forward. A side-by-side comparison. Photos. Same kitchen. Same island. Same light. One labeled from her platform. Cropped. filtered, captioned with something about healing from control. The other, uncropped, original, time-stamped. Vanessa went completely still. Revenue from this operation, Laura said calmly, has been routed to concealed accounts we discussed earlier, which ties directly into financial concealment and identity misuse. Vanessa's attorney leaned back slowly. You're suggesting what exactly? I'm stating, Laura said, that your client has been profiting from misrepresentation, unauthorized use of marital assets, and potentially fraudulent financial activity. The word fraudulent landed harder than anything else. Vanessa looked at me then, not with anger, not with confidence, with something closer to realization. You went through everything, she said quietly. I met her eyes. No, I said, you left it all out in the open. I just stopped ignoring it. Silence took over the room again. Longer this time. Heavier. The mediator cleared his throat slightly. Given these developments, it may be in everyone's best interest to reconsider the approach here. Vanessa's attorney didn't argue. He leaned toward her, speaking in a low voice I couldn't hear. But I didn't need to. I could see it in her face. The shift, the moment she understood that whatever plan she had built, whatever version of the future she thought she was walking into, it wasn't going to survive this room. When she finally spoke again, her voice was different, quieter. What are you asking for? She said. Laura didn't hesitate. Full financial disclosure. Immediate cessation of all related activities. Asset division under revised terms. And acknowledgement of liability where applicable. Vanessa closed her eyes briefly. Just a second. When she opened them again, the fight was gone. Fine, she said. One word. Flat. Controlled. But empty. And just like that, the story she had been selling to strangers, to herself, maybe even to me, collapsed under its own weight. The divorce was finalized faster than anyone expected. Vanessa didn't fight it. Not really. There were moments, small ones, where she tried to push back on details, adjust numbers, reclaim pieces of control. But every time, Laura responded with documents, timelines, and a calm that made resistance feel pointless. In the end, Vanessa signed. The settlement wasn't gentle. She lost access to the accounts she thought she had secured. The hidden funds were traced, reclassified, and pulled back into the division. The loans in my name were formally acknowledged, documented, and shifted into legal consequences she hadn't planned for. Her online brand disappeared within days. Profiles deleted, payment links gone, content wiped or reported. Whatever audience she had built vanished as quickly as it had formed. No goodbye posts. No explanation. Just silence. A week later, she lost her job. Officially, it was a restructuring decision. Unofficially, it came right after certain information reached the wrong inbox. Companies don't like risk. They like clean reputations. Vanessa was no longer clean. Melissa cut ties almost immediately. No calls. No defense. No attempt to explain her involvement. Just distance. Sharp and complete. Self-preservation, I assumed. The same instinct Vanessa had relied on. Just turned in a different direction. The house went on the market. The following month, I walked through it one last time before the closing. Empty rooms. Bare walls. The kitchen island cleared of everything except a faint outline where the fruit bowl used to sit. That was where it started. That was where it ended. Tyler chose to stay with me. Vanessa tried once to change his mind. I wasn't there for conversation, but I saw the result in the way he came home that night. Quiet, steady. The same look he had the night he told me the truth. She'll be fine, he said, like he was closing a chapter. I didn't argue. We moved 2 months later. New city, new role. The promotion I had been putting off for years because Vanessa said stability mattered more than ambition. Funny how that changed once I stopped asking for permission. The new place is smaller, quieter. There's no tension in the walls. No careful conversations. No second-guessing whether a normal question will turn into something else. Just space. Real space. Sometimes, in the mornings, I make coffee and stand by the window while the city wakes up. No ultimatums. No scripts. No one reframing reality in softer words to hide harder truths. Just clarity. I used to think loyalty was something you proved by staying, by being patient, by understanding, by giving someone room to become who they said they needed to be. I was wrong. Loyalty is simpler than that. It's who stays honest when it would be easier not to. Tyler walks into the kitchen most mornings around 7, still half asleep, grabbing whatever's closest to eat before school. He doesn't say much, but he doesn't need to. There's no confusion between us. No hidden versions of the truth waiting to surface later. Just what is. Vanessa moved to Arizona. I heard it through a mutual contact. Smaller apartment. New attempt at starting over. No brand. No audience. No system built quietly underneath her life. Just her, alone with whatever clarity she thought she was chasing. I don't think about her often. Not out of anger. Just because there's nothing left to figure out. Some endings feel loud, explosive, messy. This one didn't. It ended the same way it began. Quietly. Just this time, I was the one who understood exactly what was happening.